Unrest in Vari Hall. The renovation wars have begun. The administration and the majority of students, as multiple polls have shown, are in favor of renovating Vari Hall in order to make it more student-friendly. The York Federation of Students says, the president actually said, proceed with caution attitude. Now he's completely changed his tune. He's saying, no, we don't want it. It's going to invade on our space to protest. Is this a matter of a genuine concern, or is this a political flip-flop?
When he first heard of the idea to remodel, he liked the idea. All of a sudden, though, after he heard from, I guess, some people who were sort of associated with the student movement that he's associated with, all of a sudden, Krishna doesn't like this plan. Some people say that because Vari Hall is sort of like a central ground and a lot of protests go on, the university, even like university vice president of students Rob Tiffin, basically said that one of the reasons that they want to remodel this space is to prevent those large-scale protests that occur at Vari Hall. Now, most of the students that we've polled were in support of this.
Well, I think you can look at it two ways here. A, this is, there are some legitimate concerns in that, yeah, maybe this is university, this is sort of a, this is the future of, the whatever movements are going to be happening in the future. So perhaps they should think, okay, well, maybe we should give, they can't make the protests go away at York.
Right.
I mean, they're bound to
You
happen.
can never make the protests go away at York. Like, come on.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, maybe they do. This is a legitimate concern in that we do need to have a space to house these things. Otherwise, they're gonna, start showing up in lecture halls or whatever. The thing that concerns me, though, is that the majority of students on campus, to become, the polls have shown, and two separate polls have shown that the vast majority are saying, hell, put chairs, put tables, put whatever you need to put to sort of spice up a very empty space in Vari Hall.
Some people say that like it's a cool place to study. Like I mean, like the library, sure, they have places you can sit and work on your laptop. But I mean, like, say you need to work on a group project, or you want to casually study, but you want to talk to your friends or something like that, and you got that one guy that looks over you like, what the hell are you doing? Like, if you do that in Vari Hall, it's a more relaxed kind of atmosphere. So I think a lot of students want it based on that. But I mean, then there's like the other side of the coin as well, where some of the protesters are like, we don't want to protest outside. Like, we live in Canada, the weather's kind of bad sometimes, and so in a way, like Vari Hall, there's also like the acoustics of it, right? And so it's just like, it makes for a compelling, I guess, place to protest, because not only that, if you've ever seen the echoes in that place, like when there's a protest going on, it gets pretty loud. But I guess I can also see it from the perspective of somebody who's having a lecture there too. Like, the place isn't fully soundproof. So like, say you're like, you're in a lecture and you really want to pay attention, but all you hear are these guys screaming outside. I can see how annoying that could get.
The other thing is that it's definitely, the president of the York Federation of Students, Krishna Saravanamuthu, has definitely changed his tune.
For sure.
I mean, first he's saying, well, proceed with caution. It's a good idea. If students like it, then sure, let's go with it. But let's just make sure that we preserve the integrity of the space.
Do you think it was a flip-flop?
It's a huge flip-flop, because let's face it, the space is going to be convertible. You can get rid of the tables, you can get rid of the chairs, you can get rid of whatever they put there.
So you think
that's what they're asking the
architect to do? You think they'll get rid of the tables and chairs come Israel Apartheid Week? Will the University Administration be like, oh, Israel Apartheid Week's coming up, there's going to be a big protest. Maybe we better remove these chairs. Maybe we better remove these tables and let these guys square off.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, I think you need to sort of strike a balance here between the fact that, I mean, the YFS doesn't necessarily have a responsibility just to reflect the sentiment of a certain poll or an electorate that says the majority of students. I think they have a responsibility to represent their own interests. Whether this is in their own interest, I'm not sure, because let's face it, I'm not sure that their lobbying is really going to have any effect.
Do you think they'll still be able to protest? Like, say the tables, chairs, all that stuff are in there. Do you think they're still going to protest there? Like, you think they're still going to be able to? Or
I think the whole principle of having a place to, like, it's specifically designed for protest sort of numbs the whole effectiveness of a protest in general. I mean, it's a protest. It's supposed to be spontaneous.
Right.
It's supposed to be in a place where people are gathering.
But that these things aren't really spontaneous.
It's
like, they plan these things ahead of time.
Yeah, of course. But it's supposed to be disruptive. That's why it's a protest. If it's not the slightest bit disruptive, no one's going to notice. The TV cameras aren't going to come. No one's going to really care. So
and to be honest with you, you can take some good photos and videos inside of Vari Hall when there is protests. I mean, it's just like it's just I guess, built for it. It's just a perfect ground
But
for
what
that
I'm
kind of
basically
activity.
trying to say though is that you can protest and wherever you want. If you want
Yeah.
to protest on the front lawn, if you want to protest in the student center, it doesn't really matter.
This is true.
People are going to protest regardless of whether
Oh,
there's
this
a
is yours.
certain space set up just designated for them to do that. So
For sure.
the fact that we need a space to protest, I'm not sure that I buy that. So I think I think the Y-Fest needs to sort of get their priorities straight and figure out whether they're just arguing for the sake of arguing and arguing for the sake of ruffling some feathers in the administration,
Yeah.
or whether this is a genuine concern.